Hello everybody and welcome to a slightly different video than my previous Idle Heroes content. Basically, when I was doing the event review last week, I said that I wasn't really a fan of some of the offers, and then I saw MKX Jump's review, and he seemed to actually quite like it, and that got me thinking that I've been sort of going by my gut on what is a good value and what isn't. And if I'm going to be the event analysis guy, if I'm going to be the one who goes into crazy detail on all of this stuff, I should probably make sure that I've got my numbers down. So I spent the last week and a half doing this analysis that you see in front of you. And it's not perfect, but I'm going to walk you through it and I'm going to give a sense of what events have looked like historically and what you might expect to see in an event, what makes an event good. So I start with the week I started playing, which was the week of May the 12th, 2023, just because it's a lot easier to analyze these if you've played through them. And I've also taken a few notes on the event, like how big does the event feel like it was? The big events, the ones that have good rewards, mid, or just total skip weeks. What kind of event was it? What's the basic weekly? And then I've also got links to the English spoilers, the Chinese spoilers, MKX Jumps videos, and my own videos with the event reviews. And obviously that only goes up to the current week, but I am going to try to keep this updated in future. And I've also got some notes on what other things happened during it. New heroes coming out, whether it's their gala, the free 700 scrolls anniversary, things like that. And a quick note on the color coding. For these ones, the red ones are events that I think are fairly bad, offers that I think are fairly bad. Green are the really good ones. Light green are the fairly good ones. I've also broken it down based on a few different player types. So you can see them all here. This is a free-to-play player who isn't really engaging much with the event. They'll do like the basic ones if there's a good reward. They'll do the big gem events on the large events, but they won't do a lot. This is basically what you can do as a free-to-play player if you're going all in. And I've ignored the really bad events. I've ignored some offers that just don't make sense, but that's basically what this is intended as. This is someone who spends like a tiny amount in the game. This is someone who spends quite a bit. And over here, we have someone who spends a lot, maxes out every event that is at all good, and you can see how much money they're spending. In each column, there's what resources in-game you use, what money you have to spend, what you actually get for it, and my attempt to calculate a ratio. And you can see from all the comments littered around here, there's a lot of comments on exactly how I did the math, because it gets complicated. There's a lot going on in these events, and I have to simplify it a lot in order to make any sort of comparison useful. But in the interest of simplifying, this column and this column don't tend to have anything very interesting, so I'm going to hide those. And we'll look at just the columns that tend to have the more interesting content. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these. I will have a link to the spreadsheet in the description. Feel free to ask any questions you've got about it. Feel free to make any comments. But I'm going to go through the broad strokes of it. I tried to focus on things that I think are realistic for a player, things someone might actually want to do. And I've tried to focus on getting it down to a single ratio at the end of the day. Like, some of these events are easy. This one, if you spend 2,000 scrolls, you got 2 top rewards. Top rewards being your artifacts, your sublimation chests, your half-core chests, and the Destiny transition materials. Also essence to some extent, but because most players don't value it that much, I've usually not counted it quite as highly as the game might. So some of these, the ratio is really easy. And then there's some bleeding complicated ones. Like this current package, for someone who maxes out the current event, how do you value all these resources? So I've used a few rules of thumb, and the exact calculations I've tried to note here every time, but basic rules of thumb. Contract starries, I tried to value based on what my memory of the auction house at the time. So you're buying your regular starry gems, buying up copies in the auction house, retiring into contracts. That's how I've tried to value your contract starry gems. Treasure Train, I valued it about $1.50 per ticket up to about Halloween, because it came out in early 2012. The first few months they were a bit more tight-fisted with them, but around Halloween they started feeling a bit looser, so I tried to change the valuation there. So from here on, they're about $1 each. And yeah, it's about $4 to buy a Treasure Train ticket if you just buy them in the normal shop, but that isn't really a good deal. Very few people do that. So I've tried to go more based on what you can get in the events. For things where a lot of currencies are moving around, I had to sort of do ad hoc adjustments. Just there's no way to get this down to anything simple unless you do a lot of simplification. So these numbers are really aggressively simplified. I've noted down the amount of stellar you get, and the word stellar is very long in this spreadsheet sprawl. So these 500K or like 5.5 million, those are rough estimates of how much stellar you'll get. These are your Cloud Island chests that you get in the new Trans Hero events. You can sort of figure out like top rewards, treasure train, artifact, because most people don't value artifacts so much. I did note a few of them where you could only get artifacts. The frame at Black Friday. Yeah. So, like I said, I can't go through all of this. This is a lot of work. It took me a week and a half of a lot of free time putting this together. But the thing that I think is actually important to most people is what kind of value you should place on different items. So, like for example, the week of January 19th, you could spend 500 scrolls and get an extra top reward over what your gems were buying you. That's great. That's the best scroll event we've had all along. Some of these events, once you start netting out your train tickets, you get like crazy value for every top reward you get. So, the upshot of this. Heroic Summon Scrolls. Those are typically associated with the biggest events, so I value them very highly. But when you actually look at the numbers, there aren't really that many scroll events that give you a lot for just scrolls. It's usually scrolls plus money. So for spenders, for people who are going to go in on the big events like the Chinese New Year, having those scrolls saved up is really important. It does let you do these big events. But for someone who's just free to play, it's not that great. Like the scrolls, I noticed my free-to-play alts have saved up a lot of scrolls because they never really go in on events because I kept thinking that scrolls are worth a little more than they are. So in the current event, you can spend about 800 scrolls to get a top reward, and that's actually not bad. There's not many events that give better than 700. This is about the only one I could find where I could find a ratio better than 700 scrolls per top reward. They're just not that common. So 800 per top is actually better than I was implying in last week's video. Yeah, so that was the biggest surprise for me in this. Like, a few things are obvious. The Shishi event last fall, that was incredible value. The packages I was suggesting for Chinese New Year, like this one in particular, is crazy good. Because you're getting so much for, it's not a small amount of money, but it is small for what you're getting, like 11 top rewards for that. You go up here and you're getting like 10 top rewards for going maxing out an event. Like it's gotten a lot better in the last year. Like Shishi was really a transition point to some much better events, especially on the free-to-play side. So that's your scrolls. Profit orbs, you got some decent events here. Like there's been, the best I think was actually one of these ones where you just go in very slightly on it. This one, the downside of Google Sheets and comments is they do tend to pop up a lot. Thanksgiving, which I'm Canadian, it's Yanksgiving. The real Thanksgiving is this week. This week. Anyway, so that event, you could get 190 profit orbs to get one top reward extra. That was really good. Because like the gems were buying you basically the half reward because you got half an artifact for the gem event in that one. But 190 profit orbs to get another full artifact, that's really good. No other events really come close to that. The other profit orb events have been, where'd they get to? Yeah, like the second one you could get there was 380. There's ones for like 480. So I'd say for profit orbs, if you can get 1.5 to 2 top rewards for your 640 orbs if you were to max an event, that's not a bad ratio. I'd say anything below about 400 per is pretty good. Yeah. Wishing coins, there's actually been shockingly few wishing coin events. About the only one was Mid-Autumn Festival, where you could get, one top reward for your gems and 2 more for your wishing coins. More or less. I'm simplifying a lot of things. I'm simplifying. But that's about the only good wishing coin event there's been. The wishing coins are hard to find good events for. So when you do find a good event, definitely go in on it. Wishing coins are pretty cheap, especially if you buy them in the arena store. So wishing coins, yeah, spend them if there's an event that gives you like real rewards for spending them, not just the like super wishing coins and hero copies you get by default, but the good rewards. Train tickets. There's very few events where you just straight up buy train tickets. There's been a couple, but more often you're getting them built into the larger events. Like, that makes them hard to analyze, but I think my assumption of about $1 per ticket is pretty reasonable. Stellar shards, again, they're mostly a throw-in. You convert your cores to stellar, you just get stellar in a lot of events. I haven't actually included stellar in my analysis because it's hard to put a value on exactly, and the numbers tend to be very weird. It would throw off the math a lot. Maybe I should have. Like, in retrospect, if I were starting this again, I probably would. But as I actually did it, I did not include stellar in these. Prism Starries, I tended to value at about 50 per dollar. That's about twice as much as you can get by buying them in the usual in-game store. It's about half of what you get if you buy them on the black market. The black market, you're not getting VIP rewards. You got a risk of getting scammed. And frankly, I think they're most black market sellers, I think, are using bot farms to do it. I don't like bot farms, so I don't want to support that personally. I'm not going to judge you if you do, but I don't like it, so I tend to buy in-game instead. And last but not least, there is, of course, money, because that is what a lot of these are about. The rough rule of thumb I've used is the bright green goes for anything where you can get a top reward for under $20, and the lighter green for things where it's between 20 and 40. That's a rule of thumb. And the other thing it's important to note is some of these events is you just have to spend money on whatever you want. Some of them you have to buy specific things. Those are very different in practice because the ones where you have to buy specific things, obviously you're not getting the ability to invest a bunch in Prism Starry Gems and buy out a giant killer. You have to buy specific things. But again, for simplicity, I didn't consider that difference. It's just money spent is money spent. But be aware of that. That does make VIP spending better per dollar than buying specific package spending if the rewards are otherwise equal, because you can go get some extra things. Train tickets, Prism Starries, that monthly pack that gives sublimation. Take your pick. Even just your regular card top-up. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. Is anything where you're getting a top reward under $20, that's really good. Anything under 40, pretty good. I wouldn't go much above 60 unless I was really high budget. It's just not, the value's not there at some point. You stop getting really good value for money. But I think anything under about 40 is really worth considering. That's $40. I'm assuming you're also getting out of that other things. You're getting stellar shards. You're getting scrolls or profit orbs or whatever's in the value packs. You're getting a lot of stuff that is not included in this analysis. Like, I've netted out your train tickets, I've netted out your Prism Starries, but I haven't netted out a lot of other things. So keep that in mind. But yeah, you don't want to just spend $50 and get one artifact and that's it. That would have been a great deal 2 years ago, but it isn't today. But yeah, it's part of a whole. In other words, this is why I've got a giant spreadsheet. This is why I'm doing this whole analysis, is because it's complicated. But that's my rule of thumb for money. Yeah, that's about the size of it. So this has been a little bit of a rambling video, and I do apologize for that. But hopefully you can get a bit more of a sense of how events actually look over the long term and how you might go about judging events and seeing what makes sense for your account at different times. That can hopefully get you, make you a smarter spender. Like, for example, if you were the sort of person who's like, okay, my budget for this game is $50 a month. I'm going to spend $50. I'm going to be I'm going to go in on like one $50 event here, another one here, whatever they might be. But if you can get a lot better value by saving up for a few months than going all in on, or not all in, but more in on one big event, finding the right event for you and knowing when to pull that trigger might be a better way to get good value for yourself over the long run. And again, this is personal choice. I try to give you the information, but your budget is your own decision. I've been working in financial planning a long time. Like, that's my day job, is finance and tax. So I have a lot of respect for the fact that people's financial situations vary wildly, and you got to do what makes sense for you. Don't spend yourself into the poorhouse, but I mean, it's entertainment. Nobody would think twice about spending $50 to take their family out to the movies. I mean, that'd be a bargain these days if you have a decent sized family. So spend what makes sense for you, but have the information, spend smart. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is to help you spend smart. So this sheet will, as I said, be linked in the description. Hopefully it helps you with that, and hopefully I have not confused the bejesus out of you, because I think I've confused the bejesus out of myself at a few points in this process. But yeah, again, let me know if you got any thoughts, any suggestions, anything you might think I want to tweak or improve. Please do let me know. I'm always looking to do a better job with this analysis. But until then, I will see you all this coming Thursday with a review of the new event. Thank you and have a good day.